that year that we ran out of applesauce partway through the winter. And it was like almost approaching the end of the world.
Oh, I know.
Because you could not get people in our family to eat that anemic store-bought stuff that resembles
blended cardboard.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
called
is.
Applesauce.
Oh, yeah, but they have to put some sugar in it just to even make it palatable.
The Ready Life. Into the country.
Hi, I'm Nick Meisner.
And I'm Lisa, his wife.
Welcome back to the Ready Life podcast, where we show you how to make your home and family as independent as possible for basic necessities like water, heat, food, and the power that most of us depend on for these things, so your family is secure. On this particular episode, we're going to be sharing with you something that we're in the middle of right now, just kind of life a little bit for us.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten chilly, which is usually what I wait for. And as soon as the weather turns and it gets chilly, then it's time for applesauce.
We got our first snow last night.
That's right, we did. Oh, the kids screamed out of the house when they woke up this morning and saw the snow. They were like, it's snow! They've been praying for snow for the last, month maybe or more.
Right.
Anyways, it was pretty exciting.
It's that time of the year. And I can remember when I was a kid, we would get together with family friends this time of year, and we'd get some apples, and we'd cook up a big batch of applesauce, and we'd freeze some of it and can some of it, and the smell that would fill the house, I can still smell it from 30 years ago. It was just,
Wow.
It was a wonderful experience, a wonderful memory.
For my family, it was corn. My grandpa raised corn, and so we would get together, all the family would get together, and the men would be out in the field harvesting the corn, and the women would be in the kitchen cooking and blanching and freezing it. But yeah, it's a great way to have bonding family time with, around preserving food.
So applesauce is a big deal in our family. Some years more so than others. But
True.
Yeah, I remember when especially soon after we had kids, applesauce is like a perfect food for babies.
Baby food.
Yeah, right. And we plowed through so much applesauce in those years. I don't even know how many jars we'd go through in a year.
Well, I actually calculated it with our food storage plan. We were eating 2 to 3 jars of applesauce a week. So like
Wow.
2.5. Sometimes it was just 2. Sometimes it was 3. Yet my kids subsisted on applesauce almost. I remember when I calculated how many jars of applesauce, I was like, man alive, we eat a lot of applesauce.
Right.
But it was great.
By the way, you can get that calculator totally free if you go to thereadylife.com/food planner. And that's what Lisa was talking about. But yeah, I remember, and then I remember kind of a big change for us was that year that we ran out of applesauce partway through the winter, and it was like almost approaching the end of the world.
Oh, I know.
Because you could not get people in our family to eat that anemic store-bought stuff that resembles
blended cardboard.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
called
is.
Applesauce.
Oh, yeah, but they have to put some sugar in it just to even make it palatable. But
Right.
anyway, yeah.
We couldn't get the kids to eat it.
Nope.
So we determined that we were going to the next summer the next fall put up so much applesauce that there would be no chance of running out.
I think we did 200 or 250 jars of applesauce that year.
We had enough for like 2 years.
We had lots and lots
Yes.
of applesauce. It was great.
But the way that we did it was by, first of all, coming up with a source of enough apples for a reasonable price, because our small orchard is not bearing fruit yet, and we've still got work to do on that. We want to enlarge it, make it bigger, and of course, as you know, it takes years before a orchard is bearing fruit. And so looking for a good source of apples for a good price is kind of a tall order, you
Yeah,
know?
because if you go to the grocery store and try and buy, Honeycrisp apples, which is kind of my personal favorite for applesauce, especially right now, even if you're going to get organic Honeycrisp, which is my first choice, obviously, you're going to be paying $3 or $4 a pound for those goofy things. It's nuts.
That's crazy.
I can't afford that kind of stuff for applesauce in this family.
Everything has gotten so expensive.
It has, but even when we started doing this, boy, would have been like 9 years ago. We still couldn't afford to buy that many apples by the box to have enough to put up applesauce like that. And so, yeah, I started doing some research and I looked on all of the penny pinchers and Craigslist. And actually, it was on Craigslist that I found an ad. Someone had orchard bins full of apples that they were selling for a really, really great price. And I was like, I'm in.
And here's the deal. You know all those apples that you see at the grocery store? How
big, beautiful apples.
Yeah. Not all apples look like that. In fact, a lot of them don't.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so the question is, well, what happens to all the apples that aren't so pretty? Well, we found out what happens to them.
Yep, they get dumped into orchard bins and sold for pennies on the dollar. And that's how these orchard bins were showing up in our area. And some guy had gone down to the orchard fields are several hours away from us. And he'd get a big, huge trailer and he'd go down and pick up as many orchard bins as he could and drive them back up to our area. And then he'd sell them. He'd mark up the price a little bit. So he was making something and then he would sell them. And it was still dirt cheap compared to buying apples anywhere else around here in this area. And so, yeah, the seconds. I remember one year the seconds were like these huge, massive apples. They were so big that, the Costco, I think it was a Costco situation where Costco had gotten all these big apples in, but they were too big and they wouldn't fit into the containers that they were selling. And so they had all these seconds apples. Wow. They were just massive. I've never seen apples that big before.
And then another year, they were pretty bad, I remember.
There was one year we got a bin apples and it was pretty rough. We had to do a lot of picking through it and cutting out all the bad spots. But most years, it's actually not that bad. You might have a spot here or there, or it's too small or it's too large, whatever. They've got some blemishes or whatever, not a big deal.
At least that's been our experience.
For the most part, that's what we've found.
Of course, everything has gone up, so prices have gone up, and I think we're paying now, $350 for a orchard bin, which is like 600 to 800 pounds.
Yeah, an orchard bin is a lot of apples. And I looked up online recently. I guess it's about 3 pounds of apples makes, I think it's a quart of applesauce. But don't quote me on that.
We should measure it out this year.
I should measure it. I'm going to measure it out this year because I'm not really sure. I've had a number of people ask me that question. How much applesauce or apples do I need to have?
It's something that we haven't measured out, honestly, because we have apples coming out our ears. When we get one of these orchard bins, it's like we can until we get so tired of canning and applesauce that we don't want to do anymore.
And then we sell it, sell the rest off. And see, that's the beauty about these orchard bins is that if you buy a great big orchard bin, you might be thinking 800 pounds of apples, there's no way, right? But if you think about it, you just can up what you need out of that, especially if you're like us and you go through applesauce, then you just sell off the rest on Craigslist for, make sure you factor in your fuel costs or friends. Yeah. We had so many friends that wanted apples from us this year that we ended up getting a bunch more than what, we ended up getting extra than what we normally do.
Yeah, so normally we'll get one bin and we'll use maybe half of it and then we'll, sell off the other half to whoever wants it, friends or whatever. But this year we decided to get an extra bin. Everything is so expensive and this is such a good deal and we wanted to, be able to share some with others. And also we got the idea of doing a applesauce making day at church.
Yes.
And, we got a decent-sized kitchen at our church, and Lisa had been getting a number of people, I guess one or two in particular, that had been wanting to learn how to make applesauce. And so we thought, well, there's probably others that have never either haven't done it or are intimidated by it, or it's been a long time or whatever. So why don't we just do it? And whoever wants to can come and get in the kitchen, and we'll all make it together and have a big applesauce making party. So that's actually what we're doing tomorrow. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but tomorrow we're going to be in the kitchen making a bunch of applesauce with a bunch of folks. So
yeah, we're really excited about that.
Right. And there's, I think we figured we have space for like 8 or 9 people to be hands-on, and all of those places have filled up. And so now anybody who wants to can come and just watch.
Help out or
whatever. But, there's only so much space for actually getting hands-on in the kitchen with burners and all that. So, yeah, if you're in the Sandpoint, Idaho area, have to stop by. We're going to try and get this podcast out today. So today being Wednesday. And we'd love to see you. Just reach out to us via email, and we'll give you the info on what you need if you want to stop by and see how to make applesauce. But if you're not able to, or you're not in the area or whatever, another option is we have a YouTube video where years ago, we just did a quick overview of how we make applesauce. And that's a good place to get you started there as well.
Yes, for sure. And go get yourself a bin of apples and share it with your friends and family and make up some applesauce.
Or even if it's not a bin, if you can find seconds, you can sometimes find them for cheaper prices. But I think the key is if you can find an area that's kind of an agricultural area, it might be hours away. For us, it's not nearby.
No.
It's hours away. And
it's like 6 hours away or something like that.
Yeah. So it's a good drive, but it's worth it. And so that's an option for putting up a whole year or 2 years supply of applesauce like we did one year. And that seems to be kind of a pattern with us. We'll put up enough for 2 years and then skip a year.
Yes, for sure.
So anyhow, hope you have many wonderful, delicious jars of applesauce this winter, and wishing you all the best.
Yes, and happy fall. Or is it winter yet?
Yeah, kind of winter here. We'll see you all around. See you next week.
Bye.